welcome to the Intuitively Wild podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Levine. Living intuitively wild is about coming back home to ourselves. Here, we talk about how to live connected to ourselves, others, and nature, and make a commitment to radical authenticity, vulnerability, and acceptance. On this podcast, we delve into a wide range of topics that span the human experience. We peel back the layers and talk about the things that are often not talked about. This is a space for us all to walk and wander this path of life together. Let's dig into our roots and go deep. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Intuitively Wild podcast. And welcome back to another solo, and the solo where we sit down and create a step-by-step ceremony for you to really be present and ritualize a specific moment in time. And this ceremony is a little bit different than some of our others because these ceremonies usually are around a moment on the wheel of the year, whether that's the solstice or the equinox or Samhain or Imbolc, or they're about a phase in the moon cycle or just something very specific that happens at that moment and more catered to how everything's aligning in that moment. And they're always full of steps and rituals that you can utilize anytime, in any moment, and whenever you feel called. But they're even more hyper-specific to that time. This one, however, really is meant to be used at any time. It is meant to be used at any time when you are feeling like you need some deeper connection to yourself, like you need to disconnect from the world around you to reconnect to yourself. And even more so, it's here to help you create a ritual of true self-care. And not the kind of self-care that gets this surface level reputation, and also this stereotypical or one-size-fits-all kind of self-care. It's here to help you find what true self-care looks like to you. Because we are entering the holiday season. And honestly, I never used to associate November with the holidays. When we enter November, the energy still feels very scorpionic, very witchy. We're still picking apples and the leaves are still changing colors and we're still feeling the veil thin from Samhain and very much in touch with that energy. And often I can think of November just as that falling into fall, really embracing and embodying fall, which it definitely is. And yet at the same time, when I get so caught up in that, the holiday season then sneaks up on me. And I've realized that my tendency to stuff the holidays into December stems from this tactic to avoid overwhelm and anxiety that I used to face at past holiday seasons. And really, I do think that the holidays and all that they entail begin in November. That's when we have Thanksgiving. That's when people are starting to think about December, plan parties. Maybe things are starting to get more social. People are starting to talk about what their New Year plans are, their New Year goals. And we're getting a lot of talk around New Year, New Me energy. And I think it's very important for us to mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally prepare ourselves for the chaos that can come in December and January when things are a little quieter in November. And for me, this has proven to be especially important because the holidays used to be a time that I dreaded, mainly because they often ask us to get out of our routine. And anything for me outside my routine had me grasping even tighter onto control. I used to really need my status quo schedule and my carefully allotted time for socialization as my coping mechanisms. And those coping mechanisms were often restriction and disconnection and ultimately isolation. And I've had many holidays past that I can look back on and see how much I was struggling in a lot of ways. And I had one Thanksgiving in particular that really sticks out in my mind. It was before I started treatment, before I started my recovery process and really started focusing on my mental health. And I had recently moved to California, and I used that distance as an excuse not to fly to New York for my family's Thanksgiving. And I spent that Thanksgiving alone and very much just kept to my usual routine. It rained the entire week, and in Southern California, that's pretty rare. And everywhere I went, it felt pretty isolated and desolate because everyone was with their family for Thanksgiving. And you might think that that left me feeling sad or regretful that I was alone, but really that Thanksgiving, and I have had those holidays and those moments when I travel and 100%. But that specific Thanksgiving, and especially holidays before recovery, I did not feel that way. I simply just felt relief. And honestly, like this sense of accomplishment that I had gotten through another moment where I could have been thrown off my routine and stayed true, stayed disciplined. And that, now I look back and I feel it's a motivating factor for me now to build in the rituals, the ceremonies, the practices that allow me to step outside of my routine. It's a reminder of how important it is and how, family connection, that's a core value of mine, and I can't sustain that if I don't have these kinds of practices in place. And honestly, my dad he still talks about that Thanksgiving. He has promised that he will never let me miss another Thanksgiving again. I think it also just represents, how much I was suffering with my mental health at that time. But whether or not you have these kinds of associations with Thanksgiving and whether or not this story resonates for you, I think that in some way we're all impacted by the holidays, even if we love them and look forward to them and every single aspect of them. I think in some ways all of us need a little bit more nourishment and support, and for lack of a better word, self-care. Because I'm now hyper aware of how the holidays shake up our collective energy. So many of us are rattled by them, yet unaware and honestly ignorant to the dysregulation they bring us. Our society as a whole is impacted, with the new commercials and all the sales and Black Friday and just like all the chaotic, crazed energy that can come in our culture when it comes to the holidays. It's really hard to avoid that. And so even, again, if we only have positive associations, we are impacted. It's just embedded in our culture. And I can just walk around and see this energy like rising off of people like heat waves. And I really have discovered that the holidays bring up a lot for most of us. And for some people, it's what happens when they are around family. For some people, it's what comes up when they're not able to be around family. For some, it's the shift in schedule, the focus on food, the spending of money. We all are activated by different things, and we all respond differently to these triggers or activations. Some of us shut down and numb out and disconnect. Some of us try to people please and shape shift or regress into past patterns, going back and to family. Always brings up a lot. And yes, in acute situations, it's expected that emotions arise and our reactions are not always in line with our quote unquote highest self, and they're not. That's okay. That's more than okay. It's expected that when faced with family gatherings, sometimes we need to make compromises and we need to shift priorities and we need to have uncomfortable conversations, because the holidays also require forgiveness and grace and patience and compassion. both with ourselves and others. And at the same time, there's a lot we can do to protect ourselves and prepare and prioritize ourselves. Because often I think people can fall into the belief that we can't prioritize ourselves and our needs during this time. But with a little bit of preparation and intentionality, we can. And this is really a time to hone in on self-care, like true self-nourishment, true self-tending, what it means to you to prioritize your mental health, what it means to you to prioritize your stability and your sense of grounding, what it means to you to place value on authentic connections and honest conversation and integritous actions. Because maybe authentic connections for someone else means going to every single gathering, and for you, it means just picking one or two. The problem is it can only happen when that foundation is already built beneath us, when we already have the toolkit packed in our back pocket and ready for us to grab. We can't expect ourselves to pause and respond with intention in a moment of overwhelm if we haven't chosen that ahead of time, what we're going to do, if we haven't chosen to be intentional before, if we haven't processed, if we haven't practiced, if we haven't prepared. So that is what this ceremony is here to help you do, to build your foundation so you can walk into the holiday season feeling prepared for what's ahead. And again, this is not just for the holidays. This guide is here to allow you to find what true self-care means and looks like to you. In a time of heightened energy and chaos and dysregulation, in a time when you may be feeling depleted, or just every day to maintain the sense of stability that you want to feel every day. It contains rituals to prepare you before some sort of event or going out into your day, to reconnect you during, and to reflect and replenish after. And I want you, while I'm talking, to really think about how you can infuse this into your day now, to allow you to prepare for what's to come, or honestly for the unexpected mess life can throw our way at any time. So as we're talking through this, remember, you can create this ceremony step by step to prepare or process a particular experience. And I recommend both, weaving rituals from this ceremony into your daily life for sustained nourishment and continued self-exploration and curiosity and connection. No one else's process is going to look like yours. Choose the tools that truly serve you, and also just use this as a jumping off point. And let this plant some seeds of creativity and see if any other rituals that actually will work into your life come to you. As always, all of those will be written out on Substack with this step-by-step ceremony. I often find it's really helpful to listen through to this podcast and see what comes up for you initially, and process and feel and prepare, and then get all that you need, and then head over to Substack and use that to create your step-by-step ceremony and start planning out how you're going to incorporate the rituals into your everyday. So for the sake of this conversation, let's say we are creating our holiday ceremony self-care toolkit. And so for our altar suggestions, I recommend creating this while you're starting to prepare for the holidays. So right now, mid-November, and keeping this up through the new year. Again, however long you want, but really this time, making an altar for this time. So we're going to go through each of the 5 elements to put on our altar. So for our earth element, we are putting on seeds of intention. So with the copious local apple farmers nearby, I'm currently very much in my apple obsession. And so I'm very much practicing an apple a day keeps the doctor away. But there are many different ways to do this ritual, using whatever fruit or plant or symbol you have on hand or feel called to. So again, you can feel creative and follow your intuition. But this is still in harvest season, and apples are a really significant symbol for autumn. And so each morning when you cut your apple or insert desired time and item here, take the seeds and bring them to your altar. And then one by one, place the seeds in a little bowl and state an intention that you are seeding into your life. And then the next morning, take the previous day's seeds and lovingly toss them into your backyard, feeling the energy and embodiment of those intentions in your heart as you do so, trusting that those seeds are now planted and coming to fruition. And then replace them with the new day's seeds, and so on and so forth. And what I've been doing is I have been taking my seeds and one by one throwing them into the garden, choosing a very simple short intention for each seed. So perhaps that's joy, abundance, presence, whatever I am feeling that day. And often there's repeats, which, repetition in ritual is part of the magic. Okay, now our air element. So the cute little name I gave for this is the CCC list, aka how to handle complicated conversations with confidence. The air element is related to communication, and many of us are all too familiar with the uncomfortable or inappropriate conversations that can arise at a holiday gathering. And I think especially with the way our world is right now, we can probably anticipate some of that coming up any day, any moment. But we have the power to choose a new way to handle these situations. Again, when we're around family or, old dynamics, it can be easy to fall back into old patterns, but we don't need to do that. We can choose to show up new. So to prepare, write down the conversation topics that you are worried about navigating this season. The ones that you know will come up and that you really want to handle with grace. The ones that you are simply refusing to engage in. The ones that might come up out of the blue that can throw you off unexpectedly. And of course, there's many that can come without us knowing, but even getting like a general idea or a specific person who might throw us off and how we know how to respond to them can be really helpful. Because what you're going to do next, once you've written down everything that comes to mind for this, you're going to write down ways you want to handle each. So say for the difficult conversations that you want to handle with grace, write down how you can approach them in order to do so. How you want to pause, breathe, and respond with presence. And what to do if the conversation heats up and you need a moment to pivot and reset. Who the conversation might be with, how they might react, how they might handle, how if you change the dynamic. Just write down what your best and worst case scenarios are. Write down how to give yourself some space afterwards to decompress before going about the rest of your day, if you need to. And then for the conversations that are off limits, write down how you can redirect the energy towards something different. New topics to bring up, a way to excuse yourself from the room, how to find peace and silence, and maybe just staying in the room but not saying anything, disengaging. Write down what to do if no matter how hard you try, the conversation just keeps moving forward and someone's trying to drag you into it. Just write down all the things. And for the ones that might come up throwing you off unexpectedly, write down how you want to approach this. Your intentions, mantras, breathing techniques, a best friend you can call, a regulation tool, step outside. Maybe you just got to Irish goodbye and leave. Once you have written all of these down, place them on your altar. Read over them before each event or as often as you'd like to remind you that you are prepared. You can trust yourself. You can handle any conversation that comes your way. And then afterwards, reflect on how it all went and make any additions or adjustments to your CCC list. This ritual has been so helpful for me because when I started to go to gatherings again, when I was in recovery, I started when I was still in treatment. I was really, really nervous. And there were certain people I was afraid of bringing up certain topics, and there were certain patterns I was afraid of falling into. And just sitting down and writing it all out and preparing myself for how I wanted to respond and bringing that presence to it and that awareness, and then having that in my back pocket when those situations inevitably did arise, was so helpful and really allowed me to feel prepared for whatever came my way as I navigated new terrain as a new person. And I still do that to this day. I still kind of go over, I really pause and say, okay, what part of this situation is bringing me anxiety? Because I can often get anxiety before going to group gatherings, and I talk through it and I do this CCC list to prepare. Okay, our next element is water. And for this, we are doing our intention oil. So scent is a tool that I really rely on when it comes to grounding, especially because scent is my strongest sense in human design. But for all of us, scent brings us back into our body, the present moment, and can evoke a particular energy, intention, and embodiment based off of the power it holds. So I want you to find a scent that can be your ally based off of an intention you are giving to yourself for this season. You can choose a scent that will help you stay calm and centered, or one that will connect you to confidence and joy. Maybe you want one that will keep you energized or will be able to drag you back into the present moment. Choose an intention or multiple, and then prescribe a specific scent to that intention. This way, each time you use that scent, your body will start to automatically associate it with that intention. So say you're choosing lavender to bring you back into the present moment, and every day you put that lavender on your body or light some incense, or use your essential oil diffuser and say, I'm coming back into the present moment. You now will start to just naturally, without even needing to say the intention, come back into the present moment when you smell lavender. I highly recommend finding the scent in an essential oil if possible, because that way you can place it both on your altar and on your body. You can even get roll-ons, kind of like perfume, to roll on your body. And this way you can connect to your scent at home and when you're out and about. And that allows you to utilize your scent in the moment, reconnecting you to your intuition. And also gives you a moment to speak your intention each time you apply or use your scent when you are out and about. Okay, next, our fire element. So for this, we are using a release candle. So like we've been talking about, the holidays can bring up stuff that we are ready to let go of. And I would grab a special candle specifically for this ritual. This will be your release candle. Place this candle on your altar, and every time you light it, state something you are letting go of and something new you are choosing in its place. And maybe even your candle is infused with the scent of your intention. So you get your lavender candle and you're bringing both elements into that. Okay, spirit. Sometimes we need to rely on something outside of ourselves for an extra boost of support and peace. Turning to the element of spirit in whatever way suits you is a way of finding faith, trust, and stability in something outside of ourselves, yet also inexplicably part of us. Each time you come to your altar, you are getting ready for your day, preparing for an event. Each time you come to your altar or are getting ready for your day or preparing for an event with family or simply needing some guidance, ask for it. Say to yourself something along the lines of guides, God, goddesses, spirit, Mother Nature, fill in the blank here. Please show me the message I need to guide me forward. Please support me. I promise to listen. I'm open to receive. And then on your altar, place a note reminding you of the messages you're receiving and the support and guidance always around you. Okay, so we have set up our altar and we have devoted ourselves to practicing those rituals connected to our altar as often as we can. Perhaps that's every event, before, during, after. Perhaps it's once a week, whatever suits you. There's so many ways to infuse the rituals I just went over into our daily life. Okay, now our herbal companions. These I will be drinking every day, November to the foreseeable future. And not only do they help us energetically and emotionally, but again, they're also nourishing our body physically in so many different ways. So the first herbal companion is nettle. And this is my favorite for literally any time, anywhere, but especially when our systems may be needing a little extra love and care. Nettle helps you make decisions, it keeps boundaries, it replenishes nutrients, it helps with digestion, inflammation, and any physical or emotional fatigue. It's also very warming, perfect as we fully jump into the colder months. I love it as an herbal infusion or as an elixir. And to make your own simple nettle elixir, you can fill a mason jar halfway with dried nettle, fill up the rest with apple cider vinegar, and then add honey to taste. Let this mixture sit for at least 2 weeks and then drain and take by the spoonful or dropper daily. And let this mixture sit for at least 2 weeks and then strain out the nettle and take by the dropper or spoonful daily. You can actually really do this for any herb, such as our next one, which is lemon balm. And this herb is extremely grounding. It helps you get out of your head and back into your body. It also has an uplifting quality, bringing you back to clear, calm, and confident mindset. And then our last one is raspberry leaf. This herb helps you open your heart and nourish your body. It's particularly good for anyone who has a menstrual cycle and to help us all connect to the strength of our body and soothe any discomfort we may be processing physically or emotionally. All of these herbs taste beautifully together, and honestly, this combination is currently my everyday fixation. And they're also a perfect mixture to make with company. So I love offering to make people tea during an event in order to give myself a moment alone to ground, connect with myself and the herbs, and then I can bring the tea to others and help them ground and connect in that same way. So that's a ritual that I found really, really important. Okay, now our yoga therapy tools. So the first is svadhyaya. Honestly, this is the most important ritual to do as often as possible. And this is the practice of svadhyaya, which in Sanskrit for self-study. To know oneself brings freedom. It allows us to make wise choices, to live life in integrity, to choose the life we want to create for ourselves. Throughout all of life, we are intaking information, but what are we actually processing and digesting? What are we actually integrating and embodying? And that is where svadhyaya comes in. The practice of pausing, slowing down, and really being present with who we are and who we're becoming. And through that, information and knowledge become embodied wisdom. So every morning, ask yourself, what is my intention for the day? What is a word I'm choosing to embody? How do I want to feel today? And then every night, ask yourself, what did I learn today? What do I want to release for today? How do I want to show up tomorrow? And again, I would be this really depends on how your brain works. For me, it's very helpful to pick, okay, yes, every day, every night, I'm going to do this, or every day before an event, every night after an event, I'm going to do this. So just setting yourself up for success so you actually follow through. Okay, our next yoga therapy technique is body awareness. Often when we are overwhelmed or disconnected, we completely shut down our body and just kind of tune out. We detach from what it needs and what it's trying to tell us. We are afraid of the aches and pains and the emotions residing underneath. But our bodies and emotions are not something to fear. They are crucial pieces of us, needing to be loved and tended to in order for us to show up fully in the world. So every day, and I really do recommend doing this every day, again, at least maybe through the new year, schedule at least 5 minutes to sit with yourself. And start by bringing awareness to your breath, body, and how you are feeling in this moment. And then ask yourself, what part of my being needs attention? And then pause, wait, be, and listen. And notice if your attention goes to any specific part of your body, a pain in your hip, a tightness in your neck, an ache in your feet, or perhaps a constriction in your chest, a thudding in your head, the racing of your heart. And then ask yourself, what is this trying to tell me? What does this part of me need? From there, choose at least one thing you can do that day to provide for that part of you. And then assess how it went, how you felt, any obstacles that came up, any reflections, any lessons. Again, if it's helpful, you can choose an allotted amount of time to practice these rituals, say every day for at least 5 minutes until the new year, or every day before an event, or every day before I go to work. Set an alarm on your phone, put it in your calendar, write it in a note on your bed. Just in some way, make this promise to yourself. In some way, devote yourself to these rituals. I really highly recommend trying to do these yoga therapy rituals specifically every day, because before you know it, I think they will become rituals you crave. Okay, and now we are on to our reflection questions. So this is the time for you to grab your journal or the notes app in your phone, or voice note yourself or a friend and reflect. What is your ideal holiday scenario? Who are you in the scenario? How do you feel? How do you act? How do you dress, speak, think? What may come in the way of this version of you? How can you navigate your situation to help yourself align with this version of you, even if you can't control and create the perfect scenario? What does true self-care look and feel like to you in this season of your life? What does nourishment look and feel like to you? What are you needing more of in your life right now? What are you craving to have less of in your life? What helps you feel grounded, at peace, at ease? What helps you feel joyful, free, alive? What helps you feel confident, connected, self-assured? What helps you feel safe, stable, steady? And how can you bring these things into your life right now? And lastly, our intentions. From the above reflections, create 3 promises you are devoting yourself to this holiday season. Make sure these promises are ones you can actually keep. Let them be challenging, yet practical. Make sure that you check in on them ritually, whether at the same time every day, or every evening after an event, or every Sunday afternoon. Just weave this into your life in a really, really intentional way. Stay present and active with them. That's the only way that they become truly embodied. And I find it really helpful to write them out and place them somewhere you can see every day. I just got a cute little whiteboard for my fridge, and I've been putting all my new rituals on there to remind me to do them, like the apple ritual. I literally have apple seed ritual written on my fridge. But again, make this work for you. This is about finding what true self-care and nourishment looks like for you. This is about making sure that you feel grounded and prepared in your everyday and for the holiday season. And I really hope that in this process you discover what it truly means and feels like to take care of yourself. That's what I want for you more than anything. And yeah, again, let yourself get creative, follow where your intuition takes you. I would love to hear how this lands for you and how it feels. And just know that we are in it together. We can stay safe and grounded and at ease and at peace throughout the chaos of the holiday season without falling back into past patterns that we don't want to do anymore. We can show up new, we can show up present, we can show up really connected to ourselves and prioritize ourselves in the ways that feel really important to do so. And with that, we can have a really, really exciting and alive holiday season and enter the end of year connected to ourselves, because I think that now more than ever, it's really important to stay with what is right for us and not get caught up in the noise of what everyone else is doing or what we think we should be doing. And these rituals, this ceremony will allow you to do that. Okay, that's all for this. I would really, again, love to hear your thoughts and how it goes for you. And I will see you all next time for more magic. Happy holiday season. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Intuitively Wild, the podcast. I hope it helped deepen your connection to yourself, sparked some insights, and inspired you to live intuitively wild. If you enjoyed this podcast, it would mean so much to me if you would share it with others and leave a rating and review. And please reach out to me. I would love to connect with you. I will see you next time for more magic.